Welcome back, viewers and subscribers. It's your girl, Star Flames, and we're back with another video. In this video, guys, we'll be reacting to that discussion that Harvey had with Wendy's attorney, Joe Tacopina. I have a newfound level of respect for TMZ because I've noticed that TMZ, they've been really doing things a bit differently, I must say. Two things I've noticed. Whenever a media outlet is quick to put out a report out there about, yeah, that is not factual, and once they can reach out to someone and clarify the facts, they reach out to that individual, clarify the facts, and put the factual information at the forefront. Kudos to them on that. Not just that, when it comes to Wendy Williams, they have been a fighter for her freedom, and they're doing so at their own personal expense. Now, I know that many people may say, but they get money in their pocket. That is true, but it's not something that is guaranteed would turn out in their favor. So they basically banked on her. They're bringing the awareness and they're bringing the focus and attention to her case. Not just that, they're speaking to her attorney, Joe, consistently, and they're getting his feedback to see if they have anything wrong, right? And so far, based on everything that Joe has shared with TMZ, TMZ has been hitting it quite a lot on the ball. Now, one of the main things that TMZ has recently spoken out about as it relates to Wendy is wherein that Judge Sokolov, I think her last name is pronounced, first name Lisa. So basically, she told Wendy, not yesterday, but Wednesday in a private hearing that, oh my God, suck it up, your career is over. But TMZ is saying, heck no, her career is not over. As a matter of fact, she is so hot in demand at this point in time. And how do you even get off? Like, what's your place or position with telling someone that their career is over? We're going to go through this interview with RV and Joe Tacopina clip by clip. So let's take a look at the first segment and then I'll get back with the rest of my commentary.
At the end of the hearing, this judge first basically said Wendy's family was terrible, and then looks at Wendy and says, you know, you had a great career. Your career is over. It is never coming back. You're done. Why would a judge say that?
And what is the relevance to what they're actually there for? It just seemed it just seemed mean-spirited.
Totally.
The way it was relayed to us, because
and by the way,
wasn't really necessary for the conversation that was going on.
And by the way, the judge doesn't know what she's talking about. Wendy Williams is a hot commodity right now. I can tell you from our Tubi documentary, it attracted a lot of attention. She's done interviews with major outlets. People are interested in her. So the idea that the judge would even say it, she's just wrong. But the fact that she'd say it is unbelievable.
That's sickening, honestly, just listening to you guys and hearing what you just said, from the issuance of a gag order, which we'll get to in a second, which is illegal, okay, to the statements, if true, that were made by this judge, in a court proceeding that has nothing to do with Wendy's career. Moreover, that were made in front of Wendy Williams. If true, that is outrageous, because this judge, one, she's not in the entertainment industry, so I don't know where she would get off opining about that and why that's even relevant to her role as a judge, who's basically the judge of the law, and in this case, judge of the facts.
So guys, as you can hear from Joe Tacopina, a judge should not be saying this to Wendy Williams, because what the judge is saying about Wendy's career being over, she has no experience in that field. And it's given the sense that this is basically saying that we're holding you hostage. So any idea that you have about getting back out there, becoming famous once again, going back on any talk show or anything like that, it is over for you. And as you can hear, Joe is saying that's not her business, and it sounds, out of place. It sounds like there's a bit of, intention right there, some ounce of jealousy right there, because she is a judge that has to do with Wendy's conservatorship, and what the judge is focused on has absolutely nothing to do with Wendy's conservatorship. And now we can see also why it is that her guardian, Sabrina Maurici, would have blocked Wendy from seeing her lawyer, Joe, because as I've said to you guys, you can definitely tell that this is a hostile, hostage situation going on with Wendy. Someone is given orders and how to manage and handle this conservatorship. Wendy is being held against her will, and at this point in time, we have to agree that it has nothing to do with the handling of her finances. I believe that the finances, the handling of it, was basically orchestrated to throw her in there, and someone on the back end maybe not getting their cost or their share of the bargain. But you can literally see why Sabrina Maurici would block Wendy from meeting Joe, because if Wendy's able to give all the information to Joe Tacopina, it means that Joe would be slowly but surely going after Sabrina Maurici, how Sabrina has been handling the conservatorship. Not just that, why is it that Sabrina has been given Wendy credit or debit cards and telling Wendy that those cards have been preloaded when in actuality she cannot use the card because there's no funds, literally no funds on the card. So this is very much indicative that all of this is suspicious. And that's why I said yesterday, this judge is very, very jealous of Wendy. And thank God I'm not the only one who could literally see through that, because I believe that you guys can hear what Joe and Harvey and the other guy is saying. Now, we're gonna take a look at the clip just a little bit more, and we're gonna come back and talk some more.
And why she's not a neurologist either. I mean, clearly, and someone who should be opining on whether Wendy Williams has the capability to get better and become but I will tell you, I've spent time with Wendy this week, and I've spoken to Wendy, Harvey, as you have, I'd say hundreds of hours over the last several months. And I will tell you, she's as Wendy Williams as she was 10 years ago. She's as Wendy Williams as she was when she had one of the best shows in television. She's absolutely capable of hosting a talk show or doing whatever she wants to do. I mean, she is there. She's got her wherewithal. And for someone to say that her career is over when they're a judge judging her is really a display of a bias. If I were her lawyer yesterday in that court proceeding and she'd said that judge in front of my client, I would have stood up there with fury. And I would have said, first of all, I would have objected to that statement because it's totally improper coming from the court. Totally improper. But moreover, it's made without a basis in knowledge, and it's made without a medical background and without education. And so I would have lost my mind, honestly, if that had been said to my client or in my client's presence if I were there yesterday. It's disgusting.
This is just crazy.
Why?
What about it? And Joe, help me out in this gag order thing. It's like, why is there a gag order in a guardianship case?
I've never heard of one, okay? Harvey, I've never heard of one. Guys, the issuance of gag orders prohibiting participants in judicial proceedings from speaking to the public or the press about those proceedings is a form of what's known as prior restraint, presumptively invalid.
Okay, so as you guys can hear from Joe, he wasn't the one who was in that courtroom with Wendy Williams on Wednesday. And he's saying that if he was there, he would have completely lost it, because that judge, providing that what he's hearing is factual, she's out of line and she doesn't have the field of expertise to determine that. And not just that, in a guardianship, they're saying there's no such thing as a gag order. So this is what I have been saying to you guys from the get-go. Everything surrounding Wendy's conservatorship is being handled extremely suspiciously. And do you guys observe every time that there's a major point being scored against the judge and her guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, they come out with something to make Wendy seem as though she begged for this, or we found her to be drinking while she was at the facility and she drank herself to the point or beyond the point of recognition. And as such, hence why we had to restrict her freedom. Heck no. They've been lying to us all along. This conservatorship of Wendy's, it's very deep, it's very dark, and hence why I say you can literally tell that this is being orchestrated by some individual who has status, money, and power. This judge is being directed, being guided on how to handle this guardianship, and they cannot afford for Wendy to meet with Joe, because if Wendy meets with Joe, even though he said that he has spoken to her on a few occasions, they really haven't officially met. Yes, she has retained him for her attorney, but he's the one who's gonna bring the case in front of the court, argue for Wendy to get a jury and for Wendy guardianship to, and that portion of the battle hasn't started as yet, but he's saying that everything about this and how everything is being handled is a huge no-no. And this is very much telling that everything regarding this conservatorship is a setup and has always been a setup from the get-go, exactly as I told you guys it was. But it is your time to chime in, guys. What's your take? Leave a comment below. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Peace.